Hello, everyone. Arthur here with EM Disaster Gaming. Thanks for joining us. So Todd and I have been traveling to conferences quite a bit. Todd was actually out in Hawaii at the University of Maui holding a game of Emergency Operations Center Complex Coordinated Attack 8, which you can see here in this video. And I'm super jealous because he got to go to the awesome Hawaii and to Maui. Whereas I recently, at the same time, was out in Wisconsin at the Wisconsin Emergency Management Association conference. I gave a talk in disaster wargaming, got to see my good friend Thomas Savak, former FEMA regional administrator, and we had just an awesome time. Well, today we're doing a feature on Chelsea County, USA, the simulation site. So over to Todd Mann to tell us all about it.
Always a pleasure to stop in and chat with you. And talk about Chelsea County. I mean, I always want to talk about that. It's one of these somewhat crazy stories that almost has an origin back when all this began with Homeland Security and NIMS training and ICS training. And what was really going on, Arthur, in 2008, we were putting together a course. And the course that we were creating here in Colorado was to fill in a gap that we were already recognizing in ICS 300. And so with the nature of that particular class, it's a lot of information in a short period of time. We're literally trying to teach folks a semester and a half of business management in 2.5 days under the duress of they don't want to be here, or I'm here for the grant money. And that's not really what I signed up for, because I'm an operator and I'm an EMS person, or I'm a fire person, or whatever vocation that they're coming from. So at the Blue Cell, what we created was a course called the Advanced Planning Concepts course. And that particular course was designed to go through some of the advanced nature of an expanding incident and then have a functional exercise. That functional exercise then was put into the context of one of the national planning scenarios. With it being within the national planning scenarios, we needed a location. So what we did was we created a fake county, kind of changed the names to protect the innocent, and I elected to call it Chelsea County, USA, and Chelsea's my daughter. So the location is really Arapahoe County, Colorado. And in its expansion over time, we've added different towns and different capabilities. But interestingly enough, that particular course ended up moving forward and becoming part of the state and federal catalog of official courses that could be you could use your grant money on. And one of the only ones in private hands. So from 2010 to today, Chelsea County, USA has literally taken on a life of its own. It has a lot of the original capabilities that we needed, which were characters by name, because in that Advanced Planning Concepts course, what we were trying to do was really work on accountability along with some other things. We created those with a name generator and just kept pushing the button. The more difficult the names were, the more challenging it was if it was on a ICS 211 form or a check-in form for the folks in the class to then write an IEP, which is that's what the goal of the Advanced Concepts course was to be able to write, not just write an IEP like we do, but actually write an accurate IEP based on decision making and a lot of the different activities that go on in that functional exercise that was day 2 of that course. We continued to look at how does this county operate, and since we had so many customers that were of different size, we elected to make it so that if you were in a, let's say, community of 1 million people, you could use all the assets in the county. So you had the unincorporated aspects of the county, and you had the aspects of a larger city in the county of about 500,000 people, happens to be Aurora, Colorado in real life. You had City of about 100,000 people, and that would be Littleton, Colorado. And if you were in a small jurisdiction, you could use Strasburg, Colorado, of about 10,000 folks or less. You could put it all together to get to or close to it, or you could just have activities that would be centered around specific areas in the county to replicate, the size of your jurisdiction. So we grew Chelsea County into not just supporting our advanced planning concepts course, but then pushed it to where we use it in general exercise and other products that the Blue Cell owns, and also just for people to practice. Over the next few years, as folks got exposed to it, we had a great set of students over time that would say, hey, I've got an idea for what the communications template should be for Chelsea County. Let me send it to you. And any of those things, we would automatically just add to the catalog of what we already had in terms of the personnel. The other aspect was, as we were writing plans as a company, and we felt like we had a really good plan that we'd put together for a client, let's say it was a recovery plan, then we would take that as a template and make it a Chelsea County plan. So over time, of course, we end up with about 20 different written plans that support this notional environment. So now you've got characters, you've got plans, and of course, we then had to add some mapping to it. So the mapping aspect, initially, I think we used DeLorme mapping because that's what we had, and made a set of maps that supported the depiction of what you were looking at. We had to adjust those maps somewhat because the names, again, for the jurisdictions were different. We used the Cherry Creek School District, a large school district here, and used their actual addresses for their schools. For our elementary school, number 1, and we have 8 of those through 8. Their 2 major middle schools are basically called East Middle School and West Middle School. And then Chelsea County High is Cherry Creek High School, which happens to be the largest high school in Colorado. So with that, we were able to then move forward and continue to add aspects of this notional environment, like a hospital system. So when you put in the address for the Tylertown Hospital, Tylertown is the town that is Aurora, and Tyler's my middle son, you get an actual real hospital that lives at that location. I know over time I had fire chiefs from the immediate area that would come to some of our trainings, and one chief in particular would always recognize the addresses because all of the firehouses that are depicted county on a map and with an address are a real South Metro firehouse or fire station. Same thing with the police stations. So you get the idea that over time, in building this particular environment that takes on not just people or characters and where they work, then you add that with actual plans, full set of plans to include a mass fatality plan that includes the airport, because our character, who is the coroner, writes a mass fatality plan that has the airport location, has all the things that are going on in a mass fatality event. And now as a player using Chelsea County, you have this as a reference, and it is a 100% accurate reference. We also dropped it onto a web page so that it was accessible. And then we, in fact, over to an app. So the student experience over all of this time, whether that's in a training environment or an exercise environment, was such that, you could slow down and really look at these things as if they were real, just like you would in an incident if you went to someone else's jurisdiction and you weren't working on your home turf. You had to, let's see what exactly the mass care plan says What does the transportation plan say? What does the hazmat plan say for this major highway that runs through the jurisdiction? From there, we also added a few enhancers to the whole Chelsea County experience. Once we had it into the website, we got emails that came along with the website. So we created a full set of emails so that you can email dispatch at Chelsea County, USA. You can email that coroner. You can email the sheriff's office and get a response back when we have folks playing in a sim cell environment to actually interact with the students or the participants. We added a Facebook page to it, and I know on a few occasions we'd be using the environment and I'd reach out to my contractors from all over the country and say, hey, get on the Chelsea County Facebook page. This is the scenario, and I want you to just act like a citizen and say crazy things and post crazy pictures. So the PIO who's working that incident gets a little bit of work. The last piece of the puzzle that we were pretty excited about was we actually had a phone number for Chelsea County that ran into a phone system. So we could, in that sim cell, use the phone number that's in the plan, that's also on the website, make that phone call and get somebody on the phone to try to either answer a question or move you in a particular direction. As we see it today, we've, I think, brought it to that next level and have added it as a combined element with Complex Coordinated Attack 8, which is the new board game that we're involved with together with your firm. And with your expertise in the board game, it just was the natural thing to make the characters in the board game match the Chelsea County characters, that now when you play that board game, you can fully immerse, you can access information, and you can probably play the game for weeks at a time if you chose to, just based on the number of possibilities, as you know, and all of the different capabilities that we have depicted throughout that Chelsea County environment. All the resources are typed to the FEMA standard, and that is, you know, equally important to that learning curve of using a notional environment. And we also have it so that you can go to the website and actually, you know, download the information printed out or work out of a master book that is kind of the Bible that is Chelsea County. We've enhanced it a few other ways over time. We had it tied into the Orion system at one point. We have it tied into the Salamander system. If Salamander is something that you're doing, we have a full battle book of all those characters and all the QR codes, so you can literally do a Salamander exercise with it. And at one point, we actually had a WebEOC element for Chelsea County. So it's one of these things that started out as a very simple premise, has grown over time, and we've continued to add to it. I have folks, you know, on a regular basis that will make a comment about being in Chelsea County, or what's going on in Chelsea County, or when are we going back to Chelsea County, and I think they feel like, you know, it's truly an immersive tool for exercise that just takes gaming and any exercise to a whole other level. Time that really stands out in my mind when we used Chelsea County, I think what I would consider to the max. Actually, there are two that I'm thinking of. One was in the Midwest, and the initial idea was we were going to do a normal advanced planning concepts course. And this particular client said, well, you know, I'd really like to spice it up, and I'd like to put my elected officials in a different room. So we actually did the 402 course in a separate room. Timed it so that the elected officials got briefed on the scenario, which was again a national planning scenario, because we always use those in that APC course, with the APC folks who had already started to work the incident. Both of them are working in our notional environment. The other thing that was powerful about that was we had the full phone system going. We had the public information officers do some actual stand-up press conferences. We videoed those press conferences, showed them to the elected officials, and they were continually having to be pulled back to the constraints within our notional environment, many of them being the financial constraints. So the Chelsea County website always had, here's what our mutual aid agreement says, here's how we are supposed to handle the emergency funding aspects of what's going on. Here's our actual county budget, and here's what we have for emergency and disaster. And so the electeds really had to pour through that along with their clerk and some of their folks to understand how they were going to answer questions of the incident management team that had been working the incident from a managerial perspective. That particular delivery was one where we used every concept and aspect of Chelsea County to include the phone system and the email system and the Facebook and our social media support that went along with it. The second example was that same idea, but it was at the Colorado Wildfire Academy. And what we had done there was a internal kind of mini academy of position specific. Now, mind you, this was 12, 14 years ago. And so kind of back in the day where position specific was really hot and heavy, the Academy did, I think, 8 position specific courses simultaneously. At the end, we took those individuals who had just taken resource unit leader or planning section chief or liaison officer, reassembled them into incident management teams. We had so many students, we had 8 teams. So we did a Chelsea County exercise that was a simultaneous functional exercise for 8 teams at the same time. I think the sim cell for that, I had 25 people. We did this down at Pikes Peak Community College in Colorado Springs, and this was in a winter academy. And I remember us getting the teams through and getting everyone to a point of success and saying that we would never do it again. That, of course, was not the case. We went on to do that in several other states, to include with the folks in Utah, and found that to be a very powerful tool in terms of doing 8 position-specific courses, turning those folks into 8 teams, having them run a functional exercise, a national planning scenario, simultaneously in our notional environment. In that case, the notional environment really helped because we didn't have to do as much from a sim cell perspective. If we got a phone call into the sim cell, but if it was something that the team could go and find on the website, that made it so that they were actually doing the work that needed to be done, just like in real time, where things are happening continually, and our sim cell was able to run the injects that we needed to run really off of our master scenario event list. The hardest thing was just to keep up with, okay, who's got an inject 26? Oh, team 6, team 3, team 1, and then we'd have to keep track of that. We had a big whiteboard, and it was just one of those times. I don't think you can pull off a stunt like that without a notional environment that's robust enough and that folks understand it enough that they can point the players to where they need to go and have the thing continue to move. So that's just 2 examples of the power of that notional environment. I think moving forward, as we get into game and gameplay and even HC level game exercises that are, officially understood and acknowledged, that notional environment is going to really be the enhancer to what already is an incredible game that has been created by Simmental Industries.
Thank you, Todd. Well, really appreciate you coming in today and sharing all about Chelsea County, USA, and this really unique and advanced simulation site. One of the most unique ones I've ever heard of. In fact, I would say the only one I've ever heard of that is in play with this level of detail. And it's exciting to hear how it's evolved and changed over time and continue to grow and incorporate so many different aspects of advanced modeling and simulation. So with that, really appreciate it. And until next time, take care.
All right. Thank you. Always a pleasure.